Alright guys, this is it. We're in the home stretch here. This is part 3 of my Halo Reach Oni sword-based Mythic guide. We're at the final leg of the mission. Right now you can see me just embarrassingly trying to wedge my Warthog over this barrier. Finally get it there. And if you remember where we left off, I was trying to deal with this one pain-in-the-butt elite who would just not get close enough for me to kill him. Now that I've got the Warthog in the courtyard area, I figure that gives me a better shot of taking him down, but the drawback is that it now puts the Warthog within range of his grenades, which is a big risk, and something I really didn't want to have to do, but he's kind of left me no option here, so I start slowly edging it forward so I can get a better angle with its main gun. And Cat's finally decided to help out a little bit. I decided to be risky there and almost paid for it. That grenade came really close to taking me out. He grenades the Warthog again, and it's just sheer luck that that thing didn't blow up. I would have had a real tough time in the next section if I had lost my hog there. There we go, I finally took him down. Jeez, took long enough. Now, we're going to move up into the courtyard here, but you got to be careful because there's sometimes one more elite up here. He's one of the mysterious Bob elites. This guy's particularly special because he's the only Bob elite in the whole game that's not gold. He seems to wear the silver armor, but sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. This run through, he was there, so gotta be ready for him. You never know when he might show up. So now we're going to be moving on into the sword base itself. In the room ahead of us, there's two hunters just completely tearing the place apart. You park the Gauss Hog outside the room and just bomb them with the Gauss cannon. It'll take a lot of hits to take one of these hunters down. Each hunter can take at least 12 hits before they finally drop. But if you keep nailing them, they'll be too busy stumbling backwards to actually return fire. I decided to risk moving in a little closer on the right-hand side here to try and hit the other hunter. I've completely lost track of him. I don't know where exactly he is, so fire a couple shots into the room and found him. So that gives me a pretty good scare. I decide I need to back the Warthog up a little bit. As he moves around the corner here, I get a good view of his feet, and that's really all you need to hit. So I just start drilling him there. Once you're finished with these hunters, there's still a few more Covenant forces in the room there. There's one elite and I think 3 grunts in there, and they're waiting by the entrance to the elevator. There's a little room that takes you into the elevator, and they like to hide in there. Sometimes what you need to do is move forward enough that Cat runs into the elevator room, and she'll tend to flush them out. They start scattering around the rest of the room. Once that happens, you can pick them off with the Gauss Hog. You can see the elite sort of dodging back and forth there, but managed to take him out. And then it's just a couple grunts left, and the entrance into sword base is now clear. Again, picking up fresh health before moving into the next area. As we move up into the elevator now, at the top of this elevator is the Oni sword base reception area. And this is by far one of the trickiest parts in the entire mission. This encounter in this room can go real bad, real fast if you're not careful. It's a long, straight hallway with only just this little bit of cover in the main greeting room right here. At the end of the hall is a group of grunts, and an elite with a concussion rifle. You just have to be really, really careful here because there's so little room to strafe back and forth. What you want to do is actually use a similar strategy to what we used at the very beginning of the mission, where you watch whatever side Cat moves to, and wherever Cat goes, you go to the opposite side, and just make sure you stay behind her the whole time. So if Cat moves to the left, you move to the right. And if Cat moves to the right, you move to the left. What that does is, as long as she's in front of you, she's going to be drawing most of the concussion rifle fire. And if you stay to the opposite side, it'll just make sure you're out of range of those concussion blasts. Now, this encounter actually takes me an embarrassingly long time to get through, so I'm going to cut some of it out. This encounter was almost 15 minutes of me just waiting for Cat to push forward. I eventually took out the grunts from long distance there, but this last elite here just gave me a really hard time. I was hoping that Cat would move forward and slowly just wear him down and take him out, but what happens is the elite retreats back behind cover there, and then Cat forgets about him. So what you have to do is move forward, get his attention again, and then back out of there before he turns around and demolishes you. What we're waiting for is an opportunity to assassinate him. You can see Cat likes to move around that barrier wall there, and what we're hoping for is that she'll draw him into melee combat. So right there is what we're hoping for. He chases her, and that leaves him wide open for an assassination. It feels really risky this late in the mission to approach an elite like that, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. So now we're into the main sword base, the main hall here. We've met up with the rest of Noble Team now, and so they're drawing a lot of the Jackal's attention, which gives you a clear line of sight on them around their shields. The main problem I'm struggling with at the moment is I've used up most of my ammo. There's still one Elite Ultra running around in the main floor here, and I try all sorts of things to try and take him out, but he really doesn't give me any good opportunity to finish him off. So eventually I just decide to avoid him and run straight past. As you move into this room here, there's a couple of grunts who just plain don't notice you. So if you move in quietly and stick to the wall, they won't see you, and you can sneak up behind them and take them out. Just don't make any noise and you'll be fine. So now the rest of Noble Team is pushed up into this sort of office room here. We're eventually going to be trying to make our way up the ramp to the room across from across the main hall. The only problem is this elite is still right smack in our way. Plus the room that we're eventually trying to move into is filled with Covenant reinforcements. So I spend another good chunk of time here trying to figure out how to get past this Elite Ultra at the top of the ramp. He just rains down grenades. There's a lot of Covenant fire coming, crossfire coming from that little window there. You can see a carbine rifle Jackal there. I managed to take him out with my DMR, which is good. You want to minimize crossfire in this area. The way that I eventually get through this is I'm hoping Noble Team would either take this elite out or push forward, but they don't seem to do either. They're happy to sit there and waste your time. Eventually, I'm going to make a dash down and to the right. There's another ramp that goes up into that room, sort of a backdoor entrance into that room up ahead there. And I found out that moving up into that room through the back entrance tends to get Noble Team to push forward. And so then they'll move up the ramp and go into the room and draw a bunch of the fire. The trick is getting there without getting caught in this just wicked crossfire going back and forth. I eventually dash over, run up the stairs here, and I'm not hoping to actually take anyone out. All I want to do is get their attention, because that seems to trigger Noble Team to push up. So now the Elite and the Grunts there know I'm there. They're returning fire at me, and that gives Noble Team the idea that, okay, now's a good time to move up the ramp. So I'm going to back out, go all the way around, and you see Noble Team has now pushed up ahead. So now that they're in the room engaging the Elite up close, Now I can use this back door to sneak up behind him and take him out. So now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cheat. Run along that window ledge there. And when you run along that window ledge, for some reason, it's a little glitch in the game, it actually deloads all the enemies from the rest of the environment except for this final room here. You can see I was able to run clear up through the final level without having to fight anything until I got to this last room. This is the last room of the mission. We're almost at the end. There's nothing in here except for a pair of jackals and 2 invisible elites. So you're going to deal with the jackals first. You can deal with them without even entering the room. You kind of just have to hover around this doorway here, let them poke their heads around the corner, and take them out that way. Try and aim for the gap in their shields, hit them in the hand, or go for their feet. Of course, if you've got grenades, you can always use those to take them out too. It's also very tempting to pick up the rocket launcher on the floor there and use that to finish them off. Just be really careful if you decide to go with the rockets, because I've blown myself up many times using a rocket launcher, and that's when I'm playing with a targeting reticle. When you're playing Mythic with the blind skull on it, it's really easy to make a mistake with those rockets, and that'll cost you at this point. But what the heck, I'm feeling brave. I go for the rocket kill anyway, and I get it. So now, there's nothing left in this room except for a pair of invisible elites. Typically, they're going to be at the back of the room, back to the right there, where the walls have been blown out. There's going to be one on the right-hand side towards all the crates, and another one towards the left-hand side. You can see him shooting at me now through the gap in that destroyed hallway there. George pushes up with you, and he'll draw some of the fire. But really, it's mostly up to you at this point. I go back to the plasma pistol technique to try and take them down. Invisible elites have very weak shields compared to a standard elite. So it is fairly easy to get their shields down with the plasma pistol. The trick is there's not a lot of cover in this area either, so usually by the time I take down their shields, they're returning fire at me and I need to get out of there before I can finish them off. So these 2 elites here give me a pretty tough time. I have a few close calls with them where I just about take them out, and then they fight me off at the last moment and then retreat and let their shields recharge. I actually managed to take down one of these elites with my plasma pistol and DMR combination. This guy in the hall here. But the other guy I can't quite get. See there, I finally just dropped him as he was backing around the edge there. So that's one down. We got one left to go, and he just he refuses to drop for me. Eventually, I say, "Oh, to hell with it!" I give up on the plasma pistol and I go back to the rocket launcher. I figure at this point, you know, either go big or go home. So luckily, he's narrowed himself down in this hallway, which makes it pretty easy for me to spot him. I got to apologize in advance here. There's actually a fairly anticlimactic end to this one. I hit him with a rocket, and then I end up retreating for more ammo. And while I'm gone getting more ammo, George actually finishes him off for me. So I didn't even really realize I got him, but George, hey, what do you know? He came through for once. So I'm going to take all the help I can get. But in general, I mean, you can see the approach I'm taking to dealing with this elite here. Just try and corner him into this hall, and then nail him with a rocket, and you'll be fine. Once the last elite is down, the only thing you have to do to complete the mission is take care of all the air support flying around out there. They won't fire at you very much, so it's actually not a very dangerous portion of the mission. Just load up on rocket ammo and take out the Banshees, and then unleash on that dropship till it blows up, and you're through. See, that last rocket there, it took out the elite's shields, and then while I'm out in the hall looking for health, George finishes them off. So, hey, there you go, mission accomplished. Take down the rest of the air support, and you're through. Congratulations, hope this helped you get through Oni Sword Base on Mythic. Head over to CruelLEGACYProductions.com for more walkthroughs, strategy guides, and lots of other cool stuff.